I'm a mother. More than any other role in my life, this has been my most cherished. The moment I held my baby in my arms for the first time, I knew beyond any doubt that I would give my life for him, literally in a heartbeat, without question, without fear. And that bond, well, it remains as tight today as it did 18 years ago. And I've got another son now, he's 16. I equally treasure him. When I used to imagine their futures, I used to be filled with joy, hope, fulfillment. I daydreamed of weddings and grandchildren, of all the adventures that I would vicariously share as they began their own exploration of the world around them. I wanted them to travel fearlessly like me. I wanted them to make mistakes abundantly like me, to grow, to learn from every failure they made, knowing proudly that they had at least tried. I wanted them to risk fearlessly, knowing that the reach may at times cost them, but that the reward would shape them into the kind of men that this world needed. These maternal hopes have been replaced with terror in the last 12 months. A sickness has crept into our homes, into our lives, into every single inch of our society, one far more threatening to my children's survival than anything any of us in the UK have known before in our lifetime. Let me make it clear, coronavirus is absolutely real. Of that I have absolutely no doubt. So too are many viruses, and they are going to come and they are going to go. And they will sadly kill, as they have done since humanity began. We are human, and we live to eventually die. It is what gives our existence worth. It is what makes every single sunset that we witness just that little bit sweeter, because it's one less than you're ever going to get to see again. When lockdown first began, I absolutely believed that the government had an impossible job. And mistakes were made because humans, even our Prime Minister, are forgivably imperfect. In fact, I trusted without question because my eyes were focused on other areas of my life, helping my family manage the agony of the recent loss of my father. So I abided by every single rule, aside from one, that of seeing my 78-year-old mother, because literally months earlier, she'd lost the love of her life, and no government could ever tell me that leaving her alone in a home for months on end would be for her own protection. Think about that. How dare anyone tell you that you cannot protect those who need protecting when they have the capacity to make up their own minds? But other than this, I stuck to each and every regulation because I was told that this virus was so deadly that it had the power to kill 500,000 people in the UK alone. Only when lockdown and restrictions didn't end, when masks were introduced, in spite of many studies arguing against their efficacy, when one-way systems were introduced into my local train station, and when every single media outlet screamed that unless we complied, we'd wipe out all the people that we loved. It was only then I actually began to question. You see, we've seen a perpetuation of this fear rhetoric pumped into our airways with constant exaggerations to terrify, to confuse, and to divide whole communities. We have rightly been told to accept that the NHS is full of heroes. Yet when we complain about mothers dying of untreated cancer, of fathers taking the lives of 12-year-olds hanging themselves, or when we dare to speak up over millions and millions of missed diagnoses, we are called selfish. We're told that there is a virus, and that means that we must protect the NHS. But I don't feel protected. Do you? And it really does stick in my throat when I have to comfort the father of young children whose wife died of brain cancer as COVID was the only condition being treated. And that meant that she was refused her life-saving care. And when you dare to mention that the average age of a COVID death is 82.4, you're accused of not appreciating life, even though the average age of a UK death is 81. Yet this is the narrative peddled at those who dare to say enough. Now listen, there isn't just a small amount of evidence that the government officials handed out contracts to their friends. There is so much evidence, and it made them overnight millionaires, hundreds of times over. And there's unequivocal data that proves that all the modelling they have done on this virus has been exponentially incorrect. Yet still, they impose more restrictions which destroy more lives willingly, knowing full well that the cure has and will continue to be far worse than the disease. Even though the truth is now beginning to come out, so many of your freedoms are likely to have been taken from you forever. You know what? Many of you won't even be aware of what laws have changed to ensure that you don't even have power over your own body anymore. Look, why are children being made to wear masks when we've long understood how important it is for their development to see expressions on faces? We have stolen smiles from our society, and we have made loneliness a legal requirement and social connection a crime. Have those of you on furlough realised that millions have been left to starve? They have lost their homes. Families are living in their cars. Creatives have been told to retrain. Why? Why would you retrain if your freedom was going to be returned? Now they are introducing health passports into the UK. This is not the language of freedom. This is where everything you believed you knew about your world crumbled. It is the language of compliance. It's the language of fear. And those of us who dare to question are censored at best, and we lose our careers at worst. If you're a mother, a father, an auntie, an uncle, a grandparent, a godparent, a key worker with children, I beg you to take a breath. I want you to think about your childhood, where you were free to play, run, sing, laugh, get messy, hug, play games with your peers without a care in the world. Now I want you to look at these images. This is your loved children's futures. This is what we have become. And there's no sign of these measures ending. They simply push them back further and further into the abyss, promising you, then releasing you, then tightening their control, and eventually all you knew and all you loved will just be a tale told to those who never knew the warmth of human touch and the freedom to just express the way you feel. And this isn't just coming, this is already here. Look at what we've become in less than 12 months. Look at the division and the hate, and it's only just beginning, and it will not stop until we stop it. The economy has made trillionaires of those who are already billionaires, whilst destroying entrepreneurship and small businesses. This is your Great Britain. Your children, my boys, they are being trained to live in a world without joy, with a sanitized sense of society that is cold, metallic, and broken. The economy is ruined, and the government know this, and your babies, your grandchildren, they will carry this burden. Oh, how we've given away their freedom so easily. Look, I'm going to be attacked for this. I know it, and I welcome it. I really do not want to be remembered in history for being compliant and complicit in one of the most heinous crimes against humanity. There is one thing that I know: sage is not God. And science is messy. And it requires great minds with differing opinions, opinions without ties to individual financial gain. Yet when they speak out, they are ridiculed. Even those who were so esteemed that they were awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry are discredited. You may ask yourself, who am I? What right do I have to speak out to challenge the government measures, to refuse to accept health passports or mass testing of children, to advocate pro-choice over our bodies, over my body, and to ask the government to change this devastating path that will lead to millions of deaths all over the world from poverty and famine? Well, I'm simply a woman. And my suffragette sisters gave their lives willingly so that I could own my own body, so that I could have power over my autonomy. And I will not betray their sacrifice by staying silent. The time to say no more is now. For your children, for my children, my boys, and for children all over this globe. Chomsky said, the most effective way to restrict democracy is to transfer decision-making from the public arena to unaccountable institutions, kings, princes, priestly castes, military juntas, party dictatorships, or modern corporations. Ring any bells?